What's good, Commanders fans, and happy Friday. Just wanted to make a quick video. The Commanders made a couple of roster moves today. They signed kicker Greg Joseph to the practice squad, and they released wide receiver Michael Strachan, the 6'5" guy that a lot of people have been really asking for or clamoring for to get an opportunity. But with KJ Osborne coming in and now Greg Joseph coming in on the practice squad, they released Michael Strachan. Michael Strachan, they released him earlier in the year, and then they brought him back a couple weeks ago. So that's the update on Michael Strachan and some of the wide receiver talk here. So let's talk about Greg Joseph here. So Greg Joseph was on the Giants, and he was released with an injury settlement. This is what I'm reading. Yeah, so on November 7th, he was waived with an injury settlement. Now, we know Zane Gonzalez has been on the injury report, and he did miss 2 kicks. In the last game against the Titans, he missed a 50-yard kick, and then he missed one that was within like 40 to 49. He's 3 for 5 on kicks this year. He's made all his extra points. So he hasn't been terrible, and he hasn't been great either. 3 for 5 on the season, which is what, 60%? Yeah, that's 60%, which is not good. Yeah, he's 60% on field goals, touchback percentage of 18, which is not great either. But he's 10 out of 10 on extra points, which is better than who's the guy that we had to put on IR? Austin Seibert, who had a good start, had a hot start, and then he cooled off towards the end and missed the dang extra point against the Cowboys. So overall, Greg Joseph has not been great either, man. He's not been great. He missed 2 field goals against the Bengals on a Monday night game or a Thursday night game that really cost them. He missed 2 field goals that were within the 40 to 49 yard range. So yeah, he missed 2 field goals in the fourth quarter. They were down 10-7. He missed the field goal to tie it, which was a makeable field goal. And then he also missed another field goal in that same game, and they ended up losing 17-7. Now, the Giants, they weren't going to beat the Bengals. We know that for a fact. But he would have gave them a puncher's chance. He would have tied it up to 10-10, and who knows what could have happened there. Now, he had to replace the kicker that was injured when we beat the Giants. The kicker that was injured, I forgot the kicker's name, and Brian Dable got a lot of flack for it because, they didn't have a kicker that game because the kicker got injured, and they weren't able to kick field goals. They had to throw it on 4th down. Malik Neighbors dropped the pass. The rest is history on that one. So the Giants, they brought in Greg Joseph. Greg Joseph on September 17th from the Lions practice squad after Graham Gano, that's his name. Graham Gano got injured. Week 6 versus the Bengals, Joseph missed 2 field goals. That's on Wikipedia. And that's what concerns me about Greg Joseph. It really does. It's not like and this is the thing, we're still playing this kicker roulette, this kicker carousel game. After Brandon McManus, we just haven't been able to get right at the kicker spot. We thought we had a guy in Austin Seibert. He gets hurt, misses kicks against the Cowboys. Now he's on injured reserve. Now we have Zane Gonzalez, who's, messing with his hair and stuff when he's put his helmet. People saying he has OCD. Now he's missing kicks, and he's on the injury report. Now we got to bring in Greg Joseph. Now, the great things about Greg Joseph is, though, he has set some records. He set the record for 5 game winners in the season. He made a 61-yard game-winning field goal for the Vikings, which was their franchise longest kick in history, was a 61-yard field goal. He also led the NFL in touchback percentage in 2021 at 81%, which is pretty darn good. And that's what we need, especially with the Kevontae Turpin return. We needed a guy with a stronger leg that's able to kick the ball out of the end zone. I'm not sure about the Saints returners, but just for the last 4 games of the season in the playoffs, we don't need to risk that again with kicking the ball. We do play the Cowboys and Kevontae Turpin again for the last game of the season, so we need a kicker with a big leg that's able to perform and kick the ball out of the end zone. So those are some of the good things. He did make a game winner and completed the largest comeback in history versus the Indianapolis Colts. He also did win NFC Special Teams Player of the Week one week as well when he made a 47-yard game winner, earning NFC Special Teams Player of the Week. And then in London in 2022, Joseph converted all 5 field goal attempts in that game in a 28-25 victory over the Saints. Also during a Week 15, 39-36 overtime victory over the Indianapolis Colts, he was able to kick a 40-yard field goal in overtime, despite an attempt to ice him to help the Vikings achieve the biggest comeback in NFL history. That's what I was talking about earlier as well. He made a 61-yard field goal against the Giants as well. So he's done some good things throughout his career. He was with the Buccaneers, with the Titans. He was born in Johannesburg, South Africa. Those are some other facts about him. Went to Florida Atlantic as well. So not super excited about the signing because he's very iffy. There's a reason why he was a free agent. And like I said with KJ Osborne, there's a reason why these guys are free agents. And you're not gonna find a juggernaut at this point, but you're gonna find a guy that can help you. I do feel like KJ Osborne can help you, and Greg Joseph, if he does get his mind right, maybe he can help us out, because Zane's kind of struggling right now. So he's concerning me with his last couple games. Zane with Carolina was 20. He was 90%, 20 for 22. If you want to just compare, and then Greg Joseph with Minnesota in 2023, he was 80%, 24 for 30, 4 for 7 from 50 yards away, 3 for 6 for 40 to 49, which is 50%, which is not good in my opinion. And then in 2022, he was 26 for 33, which is 78%. 7 for 8 from 40 yards, 40 to 49 yards, and then 4 for 10 from 50 yards. So it looks like the 50-yard kicks are tough for him, which they're tough for a lot of people. But like I said, man, you're just not going to find a juggernaut at this point. I know Brandon McManus is playing pretty well where he's at. I believe he's with the Green Bay Packers, but that's the write-up with Greg Joseph at this point. So Zane Gonzalez, 72% in 2020, 88% in 2019. So he's basically been up and down throughout his career too. So we'll see what happens here, guys. If Zane does mess up, he's on thin ice, and we'll just put Greg Joseph in there. So you gotta bring some competition in there. So I do like that Dan Quinn's doing that and lighting a fire under Zane Gonzalez. It's Zane Gonzalez at this point. All right, so I'm going to quickly transition here and talk about Odell Beckham. So Odell Beckham was released by the Miami Dolphins. They mutually parted ways. He requested a release, just like KJ Osborne did. He just did his a couple days later. He probably copycatted what KJ Osborne did and was like, hey, man, it's not working out here. Just release me. So Odell, I'm not banging on the table for Odell. I'm not championing for Odell. I'm just saying that, hey, he's available. I think we do have our guy in KJ Osborne. And I like KJ, man. I think KJ did some good things over the last couple of years. I like what he did with the Vikings, where he had 10 catches for 157 yards in a game. He had 7 touchdowns in a season, in one season. He had 5 touchdowns in a season. He had 3 touchdowns in a season. So he's had production over the years, and he stayed healthy for the most part. He can play slide. He can play on the outside. He's got reliable hands. Good guy. He actually saved somebody. He saved somebody from a car accident. Shout out to Gordon Horowitz. He told me that information. So he's a smart guy. He looks like a character guy from the interview that I just watched yesterday. He's excited to play with Jaden Daniels. So I mean, I'm fine with KJ. If Odell was available a couple days ago, maybe I would have been like, hey, let's go get him when Noah got injured. But right now, I'm just kind of fine with KJ. I'm fine with KJ. I know KJ's not a juggernaut or anything like that, but can he be a decent number 2 receiver next to Terry? Can it be a decent number 3 next to Terry McLaurin and some of the other guys like the wide receiver committee that we got? I believe KJ Osborne can certainly do that. So, but Odell, I mean, he hasn't been like Deebo Samuel or been like himself in the past couple years. Like he hasn't been a distraction on the sidelines. He hasn't been kicking the kicking net and crying like he did a couple years ago when we beat him with Josh Norman. He hasn't done anything like that. He hasn't like yelled at his quarterback. He hasn't said anything crazy in a press conference. He hasn't crashed out in a couple years. He didn't crash out with the Rams. He actually did a good job with the Rams. And he actually wasn't bad with the Ravens last year. Last year against the Rams, he had an 87.2 PFF grade against the Rams, second among all wide receivers in the NFL for Week 15. In that game against the Rams, he had 10 catches for 97 yards and a touchdown. He had a good game. He had 7 catches for 116 yards against the Bengals. And then he also had a 40-yard touchdown against the Browns as well. He had a touchdown catch against Seattle as well. He had some good moments. He had some good moments in the 2023 season. That's all I'm going to say about Odell. But yes, I mean, people are saying, is he washed? Yeah, he may be washed. He's definitely not that same guy that he was when he made that one-handed grab years ago with the Giants. Like, he's just not that same guy. But he's not a locker room cancer or anything like that, like he kind of was a couple of years ago. Yeah, he had 3 touchdowns with the Ravens. And like I said, he had some good moments. He had some good moments. So like I said, I'm not banging on the table for him. With the Dolphins, he had 9 catches for 55 yards. You got to remember, Tua was out for an extended period of time. Tyler Huntley was their quarterback. He was not throwing the ball to anybody. So they had backups in there for Tua. So, I mean, hey, like I said, I doubt we sign Odell, but look at the Ravens. They might bring him back because they're not doing well with Deontay Johnson. They're not seeing eye to eye. And then also the Chiefs, I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs made a move and brought in Odell Beckham. Like I said, I just want to see what you guys say in the comment section about Odell Beckham. Like I said, I'm not banging on the table for Odell. I'm not champion for Odell. But I do recognize that he may have a little bit left in the tank, but I just think for here, I'd rather stick with KJ, stick with Luke, Diami, Alameda, guys like that, honestly. I think you're kind of going to get the similar production. Now, Odell, he may still be better than Alameda and Luke and Diami. Probably he's better than Diami, that's a fact. But I'd rather kind of just stay with KJ at this point. Now, like I said, if it was a couple days ago, maybe I would have been like, hey, you know, Noah Brown is injured. We're desperate. Take a flyer on Odell and just see what he can do from there. So I guess just looking at some stats from Odell. And the injury history has not been good for him either with Los Angeles. He had that really, really bad knee injury. But he was impactful for them. He was impactful for the Rams. He was. He made some plays for the Rams. Baltimore, he had, how many catches did he have? He had 35 catches for 565 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's with Lamar Jackson, too. Remember, Lamar, sometimes, like, people's numbers, like wide receiver numbers, don't go crazy with Lamar Jackson for the most part. Like, Lamar's a great quarterback. He's an MVP candidate, but you know, a lot of times wide receiver numbers don't really go crazy with Lamar Jackson for the most part. And then Cleveland, he was injured. And, yeah, Cleveland and the Rams. So that season with Cleveland and the Rams, he had 44 catches for 537 yards and 5 touchdowns. So that was a solid season. The last time he had a 1,000-yard season was 2019, which is basically 5 years ago now. So 5 years, and didn't play at all in 2022. So all right, you guys let me know what you guys think. As always, I will be making a preview video in a couple hours. You guys let me know what you guys think about everything Hell's Commanders. Peace.